How's it going, Professor? We're Group 5, and our project is on Starbucks in the cafe industry. My name is Sam.
My name is Giovanni.
My name's Eric.
I'm Sochi. And I'm Megan.
So we're focusing on cafes. Cafes are defined as small restaurants focused on light meals and drinks with limited service and based on the traditional European cafes, a rush-free environment, which is what Starbucks has based itself on. The reason we chose Starbucks as the main topic is because they're by far the leaders of the cafe industry. And although they're traditionally based on European style cafes, they've been focusing more on the trend lately of on the go service.
So for our study, our main issue was to find out if Starbucks performance was good or not during the COVID-19 pandemic. Since it brought a shift from an office environment to the comfort of one's home, we were trying to see through a Qualtrics survey if Starbucks was performing as well as they were before.
For our study, we conducted a survey that contained questions based on demographics, psychographics, and behavior. We collected the data intended to answer the following questions as to if customers prefer to order online or in store, how has the pandemic affected customers' buying patterns, how often do customers visit a Starbucks or a cafe a week before and during the pandemic. And then, although the pandemic has affected many businesses, Starbucks has maintained to be successful. And as February 2020, Starbucks has become the largest coffee house company in the world with over 30,000 locations. And then by asking these questions, we can better understand consumer purchasing behaviors during the global pandemic. The research design is exploratory research because a relationship between these two topics has not been made, and it's a potential opportunity. For our study, we use both we found online, and we collected our primary data by conducting an online Qualtrics survey, which contained questions on demographics, psychographics, and behaviors. We also conducted in-depth interviews, either in person if possible or on Zoom. We included open-ended questions in the interviews in an attempt to get a truthful responses. And then the sample population was defined by us sharing the survey online or with friends or on Reddit. The sample size was broken into two groups, people aged 18 to 24 and 25 to 44. We used the convenience sampling method in which samples are drawn based on convenience. And in this case, a more accurate description would be inconvenience sampling, as the chosen methods are based on limitations.
So in our situation analysis, we found that as a whole, Starbucks is growing as a company, including their annual sales and revenue, their number of locations in the US in particular, and their overall stock value, which in the year 2020 has skyrocketed, most likely due to the COVID pandemic. Through our PES analysis, we found that the majority of factors were heavily in Starbucks' favor. And through our SWOT analysis, we found that one of their greatest strengths are their brand recognition, as well as their technological advancement, which we also discovered in the PES analysis. Their main technological feature is their app, which allows much quicker service, as well as continued loyalty for customers as they utilize a reward program through the app. Their greatest weakness is their price point, which they're allowed to charge as much as they want, being the company they are. However, for some people, it's a little too expensive. The biggest threat is COVID as a whole because they're an international company, which means they have to focus on multiple guidance through multiple countries rather than just the US alone. Their greatest opportunity is a new concept that began in late 2019, which are pickup stores, which focuses on using the app for customers to order ahead of time and then simply pick up in the store. And although it takes away from the traditional European style cafe setting, it meets the growing market. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so for our data, we collected both primary and secondary data. With our secondary data, we found that Starbucks is the market leader, owning about a quarter of the cafe market, which is about 15,000 stores, with a known 62,160. With the COVID-19 pandemic, Starbucks has been able to survive due to the implementation of the CDC guidelines, but we do project a 400 store closure in the next coming years. Smaller cafe shops have been facing a larger impact as they are not as big as Starbucks, and they have found it harder to adapt with the CDC guidelines. Our primary data was conducted through a Qualtrics survey as well as a interview. With the Qualtrics survey, do you mind scrolling a little bit down?
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. We found that there was an increase in the amount of customers that stopped going to cafe shops. So before the pandemic, about 30% of the participants did not go to any cafe shop, as opposed to after the pandemic, 64.76% of the participants no longer went to the cafe shops. Over 50% of participants no longer visit cafe shops due to the pandemic as well. And our participants said that the main reason why they still attend Starbucks is mainly for the drinks. It was about 75.73% of them that do not go anymore. As well, we found kind of a contradiction. We found that about 60% of the participants really enjoy purchasing coffees from smaller local shops. As shown in our previous secondary data, Starbucks is the market leader. However, our participants are showing that they would prefer to go to local shops. We also conducted a personal interview with an owner of a bakery/cafe shop. He did note that Starbucks is one of their top competitors, and he does feel that they can benefit from some of the implementations that Starbucks has done and transposed it to their company.
So throughout our research that we conducted, using Starbucks as the primary example for how other cafes could use in order to benefit themselves to better be competitive. Some few recommendations could be to have a nice little drive-through option, get your drinks in as go, having to order online through the apps, or go through the gig deliveries like DoorDash, Grubhub, something like that to get on the go and something available right away for customers to get. Another one is if not, if they want to do the dine-ins, they can still do dine-ins, but as long as they follow the CDC guidelines, having a well ventilation room with a spaced out safe distance zone. And if there's anything else they could try to do, maybe be creative with their drinks, modified, use it promotional to them, or make some kind of offers to get the customers' attention towards them, and hopefully get better sales. So that will conclude our little presentation. Thank you, Professor, and hope you have a good one.